Here's where the axle hits. I'm going to go 90 degrees of that. That's where your ellipse is going to go. It looks a little slanted right here. Let me flip it so I can see what I'm seeing here. It looks a little slanted, but it will work. The other thing to look out for when you're drawing cars is, let me get rid, turn that back on, let's tone it down. Get a better looking color. Okay, so here's our wheel, here's the base, and then here's the front. I've seen this in a lot of drawings where I've seen artists draw the back of the tail of the car way too far out. This is like way too far in a modern car. A lot of times, as soon as that perspective kicks in, especially with the newer models, that back pretty much disappears. So you want to bring this in really close to the tire. The one quote I was told is the closer the wheel well is to the actual tire, the more expensive the car is. The lower it is to the ground, the more expensive the car is. Also, one thing to note is that as you're going back in perspective from this point right here, so let's see, here's our headlights. Again, I'm not doing a full rendering. I'm just doing just a rough layout so you guys can use these pointers later. So normally, in older cars, real old cars, this line right here would be very flat, but on newer models, it tends to come down like that. You'll see this a lot like on a Prius or something. You'll see it's kind of like it leans down, kind of angles down. Also, there's three major bars to keep in mind. There's the A bar, B bar, and C bar. So the A bar is in the front, or let's start with C. Here's a C bar, and then here's the B bar. Okay, and then your A bar. So here's your axle, right? Your A bar tends to hit that axle. So that's pretty much where your A bar is going to go. And on I had a Honda Civic, and I always thought the car looked kind of weird. I was like, why does it look so weird? Like the trunk, the front hood is really small, and the A bar like went way out to like here. It went like in front of the wheels. Really, it's kind of cool looking, but it's also kind of a newer thing. So the A bar, keep in mind, roughly is going to hit here. If your A bar is way back here, that's an older car. Lots of older cars have the A bar kind of hit like down in this area. And the reason I think that the A bar is facing towards the axle is for structural purposes. Also, in cars, it's really important to keep your center lines and parting lines. Kind of feel out where the center lines are. Just don't be afraid to put down those lines to kind of figure out where everything's going to fit, you know. So this car is not the coolest thing in town, but you get the point of where the relationship of some of these things are. And also keep in mind, with to shape a car, right now I'm drawing in like this line right here. That's a kind of a no-no. You kind of don't want to. You kind of want to let the shape be determined by the lines of the car, because this line, unless you're driving like an old Buick or something, that doesn't exist. So that's why cars are really tricky. So you got to like kind of use parting lines like this. Like let's say here's the B bar, and my door line curves out and goes down like this and like this. Try to rely as much as possible on just the natural lines in the car, and not so much creating a line. Let's see. I think that's, let's see. Oh, windshield reflections. So as you know, there's a convex. Convex means pointing out surface. So this would be convex, and then this would be concave. So with your reflections, normally when I've seen this a lot in comic books where they'll put like a reflection or something like this, and I'm like, that's not right. Something's not fitting. Keep in mind that the reflection you're seeing in the windshield is of the environment around you, and a lot of times that darker reflection line is going to be coming from like the tree line or something, or a building line. So you have this kind of rounded surface, right? So the darker line you're going to see is this area right here. This is your trees and buildings in the background. that the car is going by. So just when you're putting in those random reflection lines and stuff, think that, you know, because like obviously the sky is going to be a little, when you have a reflection, your sky is your light source, so this is going to be the lighter area, and then down here is going to be your darker area. And then from here on, then when you come across the side, it's not so convex anymore, so you're going to have your reflection area down here and your windows. Let's see if there's any other tricks I can think of. Pretty much it, I think. If you want to go into like, this goes back to like the reflections of we were talking about with the chrome bar in one of the earlier videos. You got your core to your reflection. Again, this is your tree line. This looks really tacky, I know, with the reflection, but when you're getting into colors, this is what you got to keep in mind. You have your core reflection, and then it's going to fade out, and then you're going to have this ambient light bouncing off the ground and hitting the bottom here, so it's going to be dark here, and then it's going to be light in this area, and then it's going to get like it's going to get lighter up here again. So this is something to keep in mind when you're applying colors to cars. So you know, this stuff is just a couple of, you know, pointers on some perspective. If you guys want to get further details on things, there are a couple books that go over some really cool methods and like perspective and anatomy and stuff. And this is one that I used a lot as you know, as I was learning to draw. It is not it's not very up to date. All the people in there are like from the 50s and 60s, but it was like, well, where do toes line up? How do fingers line up together? You know, how long should you make your legs and arms? This book is great for going over that kind of thing. The next book I used to, you know, refer to a lot is Dynamic Figure Drawing, and this is going over that thing I was talking about with the round skull and like that base piece right here. This is great for like just breaking down the human form into geometric shapes to kind of just figure out where you're going to lay things down. Again, I don't think the style of I'm not a big fan of the style of the book, but I think that it really helps in like breaking things down and like if you want to see things in basic shapes, this is a great book to look at. Another book for perspective is Vanishing Point. This one goes over all these different ways to create fishbowl lens, and like I said, like some of the tricks I was showing you, and how to make a window equal sizes, going back in the distance, when and where to use vanishing point, where to set your vanishing point and stuff. It's really useful. And this is one of my favorite books. Like this one, especially for people who have been drawing for a while, this book is awesome. It goes over, if you look at the cover here, it's called Working Methods. The first picture here, you have this like ship, and then you have a ship, and then you have a ship. It's going over the processes of three different artists in this case over 3 different subject materials. So you got one here, the caveman, and the caveman, and the guy interviews like the artist, the comic artist, is like, what are you using? What kind of pencils? What kind of ellipses? What are you're using a light board? What do you use for your references? And he goes into the actual methods that these guys use. Awesome book. Anyway, I hope some of this stuff helped. I apologize for the nasty looking car, but hopefully some of those pointers will be useful. I'll be on pretty soon with the new video. I think I'm going to be stepping into some walkthroughs, like going from beginning to end. I'm still trying to figure out what to do with that. I'll figure it out soon. Thanks.